Hello everyone, Denise here. Today I'm going to show you how to make a bucket hat that is very simple using Cotton Supreme Speckles. This is by Universal Yarn. This is 3.5 ounces, 100 grams, 180 yards, 165 meters. It is a medium weight 4. It is 100% cotton and it calls for a US 8 5mm knitting needle, but it calls for a J10 6mm hook. I will probably use an I just because I want my stitches to be a little tighter for this. The color of this is Festival and it is so buttery soft. It is amazing in the hand. So what I need to do is I need to wind this up into a ball or a cake using my ball winder. And I do have a video showing you how you can do that using chairs if you need to, and I can link that below, but I'm going to go ahead and wind this up so we can get started on the bucket hat. So I have my yarn ready to go. I'm going to find an I 5.5 hook. Even though the yarn calls for a J, I want to use a smaller hook so my hat has a little more structure to it, and then we'll get started. Just want to draw out what I'm going to do for the hat. So basically a bucket hat, you start like you are making any hat, and you start with a circle at the top, and then you go around and around and around, and then at some point you will want to make sides, and then you continue on, you make sides. Once you get down on the brim part of your hat, you increase your stitches a lot. So you will increase and increase and increase and increase, and then you have a brim around your hat. So essentially what you're making is a circle, a cylinder, and really large circles. So my plan is to use as much of this hank as I possibly can, just to make a basic bucket style hat that will look something like this in essence. I'm going to start at the top here. I'm going to increase, and I will show you how to make the size of hat that you want for whatever size of person. And then I'm going to work down the sides. And then from there on, we're going to increase until we are completed with our hank of yarn. So I'm going to go ahead and start that. If you want a stitch marker to show yourself the beginning of each round, it's a good idea if you don't think that you will remember or keep track. I have a hard time when I am working in the round keeping track, doing emagrami, or if I am not joining and chaining a certain amount for each round, it's easy for me to lose my spot. Typically I start with a magic circle, but if you do not like magic circle, go ahead and chain 4 and join. Does not matter. It just cinches shut better for me if I do the magic circle. So how I do the magic circle is I lay the yarn across my hand, working yarn going that way. And then I pull up a loop of that yarn into the ring. And then I put my fingers back and rearrange that string of yarn that's the working yarn in this hand, so that I can hold it like I normally do. And now I have my ring, and I always chain 1 just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And as I work my stitches along these 2 strands, and that helps me to cinch it shut at the end. I am going to readjust my camera so that I can hold my arms back more. It's a more natural position. Okay, now we're pointing right down at my hands, which is great. So for the first round here, we're just going to put 8 single crochets in the ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Gonna cinch. And you're going to join to that first single crochet there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to put 2 single crochets in each of those. So 1, 2 single crochets. I'm going to mark that first one, and 2 in each. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. 16 stitches at the end of round 2. We're going to slip stitch to that beginning single crochet, move our stitch marker. Chain 1. I'm going to put 2 single crochets in the first one. 1, 2. Going to put that stitch marker back in that first one. And now I'm going to put 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 in the next. 1, 2. 1 in the next, 2 in the next, and that's going to be the repeat all the way around. Count my stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 24 single crochets at the end of round 3. I'm going to explain, I'm going to slip stitch into this first single crochet, and I'm going to explain how we are increasing, why, and when to stop. So this is too small to be a bucket hat for anyone, unless maybe you're making it for a Barbie, which would be adorable. But we are going to keep increasing in the manner that you would increase any hat. And we're going to do that until we reach the circumference size for whatever size you want to make. I will put a list of general sizes in the description below so that you can have a general idea of the size to make a hat if you don't know the size of head that you're making it for. Essentially what you do is you will increase until you get the circumference of that person's head. Now, depending on the person, it would be different. When we're doing single crochet, it's much easier to get a more exact size for somebody because the stitches are smaller. It may mean that we're doing more rounds, but that's okay. We're going to get a more accurate size. And it will be easier to get that size with single crochet stitches. So how I do that is I measure the diameter of the piece, and we already know this is too small for anyone, but this is how we do it. We measure it. We are at 2 inches. We take 2 inches times pi, 3.145. 2, and see what we get. 2 times 3.142. That gives us about a little over 6 inches as a circumference for a hat, which is teeny tiny, right? We want a bigger hat than that. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep doing round after round until we get a circumference, and I think it's usually around, I want to say around 6.5 or 7. So right now we're at a 2. Once we get to a 6.5 or 7, our piece gets that large, then we would take that times pi. So 6.5, oops, I shut it off. 6.5 times 3.142. That gives us about 20 inches. So that would be probably a teen or a younger child's hat. 21, 22 inches would fit a typical female human. And then if you're making it for a male human, it would probably be, you'd probably want that circumference to be right around 23, 24 is what I would say. That's just how I do it for everyone that I know. That works for our family. But if you know the size of head that you're making it for, that's all you need to do. You just need to keep doing round after round after round. Once you get your measurement in diameter, then you take that times pi. So let's do, if 6.5 times 3.142 equals a little over 20 inches. Let's see what 7 does. 7 times 3.142. That gives us to pretty much 22 inches, because if you rounded, it would be 22 inches. So 7 times 3.142 would be about 22 inches. So that is where I would probably stop, because this hat's going to be for me. And if you want to go larger than that, then you would go larger for a male, or if you know somebody that has a larger head than that. So let's say 7.5 times 3.142. That's 23.5. That's very large. So 7.5 times 3.142 equals 23.5 inches. And then you would go up from there. If you need to go larger, go 8 times 3.142, and you have 25 inches. So it's up to you. It just depends on the size of hat that you want to make. Keeping in mind, this yarn right here, Cotton Supreme Speckles, has 180 yards. So you want to keep that in mind when you're making your items, so that you have enough. If you don't have enough, you can add a solid color or a second ball of the yarn to finish. But the larger size that you make, the more yarn it's going to take. That's just how it goes. So that is how we're going to increase. And that is how I'm going to keep increasing for these rounds. I'm going to do it just like we're increasing a hat. This last round, round 3, we did 2 stitches in the first, and then 1, and then 2, and then 1, and then 2, all the way around. This round, we're going to do 2 stitches in the first, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. Next round, we're going to do 2 single crochets in the first, and then 1, 1, 1, 2. Just like we increase any hat that we do on my channel anyway, from the top down. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to work the top of the hat just like I said. I'm going to stop when I get to probably 7 inches. My head is 22 inches. That is the average size head for a female in the US. So I'm going to go ahead and work until I get to 7 inches even. I'm going to measure when I get there, and I will show you, and then go from there. So round 4, I'm going to chain 1, put 2 single crochet in the first, and then 1 single crochet in the next, 1 single crochet in the next, and 2 single crochet in the next, all the way around. 2, 1, 1, 2. Just like that all the way around. At the end of round 4, you'll have 32 stitches. You're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet, chain 1, and put 2 single crochets in that first stitch. I'm going to mark this first stitch, even though I technically don't need to right now, but good to get in the habit. And then I'm going to do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochets in the next, and that's going to be the repeat for this round. At the end of round 5, you will have 40 single crochets. Going to continue on increasing the same exact way. Slip stitch to your first, chain 1, 2 single crochet in the same, and then for this repeat we're doing 1 single crochet in the next, 1 single crochet in the next, 1 single crochet in the next, and then 2 single crochets in the next, all the way around. At the end of round 6, you will have 48 single crochets. Round 7, we are going to increase still, and we are going to slip stitch into our first single crochet, which I did not mark because I forgot. Chain 1 and put 2 single crochets in that same spot, 1 and 2. And now our repeat will be 5 single crochets in between each of our increases. So we have 2 in the first, and then we're going to do 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then 2, and then 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then 2. So 2, 5 singles, 2, 5 singles, all the way around. I'll meet back up with you at the end of the round. At the end of round 7, you will have 56 single crochets. And moving on to round 8, our increase for that round will be 2 stitches in the first, and then the next 6 stitches we'll do 1 single crochet in each, and then 2 single crochets in the next, and that's a repeat for round 8. Starting round 8, slip stitching into that first single crochet, chaining 1 and putting 2 single crochet in the first, and then we are doing 6 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then 2 in the next, and that is our repeat for this round. So I will see you in just a moment. At the end of round 8, we will have 64 single crochets. I'm going to move on to round 9. I'm going to measure mine really quick to see what my diameter is right now. I know it's not 7 inches, but we're at 5.5, so I get a couple of more rounds to do. So round 9, we will start off with our 2 single crochets in the first, and then we will do 7 single crochets in between, another 2. So 2, 7, 2, 7. Slip stitch into our first single crochet, chain 1, 2 single crochet in that same spot as your chain 1. I'm going to put my marker back in, and now 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then 2. You're going to do that all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you in just a moment. At the end of round 9, you will have 72 single crochets. I have 6 inches in diameter now. So I may have 1 or 2 rounds to go. So round 10, we are going to slip stitch into the first single crochet, chain 1, put 2 in that same stitch. So this repeat for this round will be the next 8 stitches, we will do 1 single crochet in them. So just like we've been doing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then we will do 2 more in the next, and then 8 in the next. 8 single crochets in the next 8 stitches, and that is a repeat all the way around. I'll meet back up with you at the end of round 10. Okay, at the end of round 10 I have 80 stitches, 80 single crochets. So I am at 7 inches here, so I am going to stop increasing. If you are going to make this for any larger size head than a 22-inch head, I would go ahead and do probably 1 more round. Your increase for round 11 would then be 2 stitches in the first, and then every in between the 2 stitches would be 9. So it'd be 2 and then 9 single crochets, and then 2 and then 9 single crochets. At the end of round 11, you would have 88 stitches at the end of round 11 if you're increasing another round for a larger size head than 22 inches. I'm going to stop. I'm going to continue with the body of the hat, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so starting with the body of the hat, I'm going to take out the stitch marker, and I'm going to put my hook in here and make a single crochet. It's just easiest to do that for the first stitch instead of worrying about where you're putting stitches. I'm going to put the stitch marker in here so I always know the beginning of the round. So this is how I do a bucket hat or any type of project that I want there to be sort of a real split in the work, showing what is top or bottom from the sides. There are 2 loops here looking at you. As you look at them, you can see this one is near you, which we call the front loop, and this one away from you, which is called the back loop. On this round only, the next round, and that is it, never again on the project, we are going to work in this back loop here. Now sometimes when I'm working, I will grab this loop, the third loop back here, and that would give it more of a turn and make it look more like a curve around. So if you see me working while I'm working, and if I am pushing into this third loop, it's completely optional for you, but I would recommend going into the back loop at least for this round so that you can see where you're starting the body of your hat. So I'm going to go ahead and put a single crochet in every stitch all the way around. That is going to be the body of the hat. It's going to be single crochets in every stitch. It is only this round that I am going to go into the back loop. Okay, so every round you should be having whatever your stitch count was when you decided you were at your size. You will have that same stitch count for the next round after round until we get to the brim. So I'm going to start my single crochets. Like I said, I like to put them in both loops, but it's up to you. You do whatever you want. Back loop at least will give you some definition there. But I like to go in the back loop and the third loop. And if that doesn't make sense to you, I will pull the work up here. Front loop, back loop, turn your work slightly, third loop. I am pushing through back and third, and I'm using this finger, my middle finger back here, to help me push the hook through. And once you get the hang of it, it just becomes second nature. You're helping yourself constantly push the stitches through. And what that does is it gives it more of a turn than just the back loop only. but the back loop only is fine as well. If it's too tough or if it hurts your hands, I understand. It is fine. And if you don't even want to work into the back loop, you don't have to. You can just keep going. It will just be a very subtle and gradual change from the top of your hat to the body of your hat. So I'm going to work. I will meet up with you at the end of this round and then show you what we're going to do every single round after this until you get to the length of the hat that you want in the body, and then we will do the brim. Okay, at the end of our first round of turning on to the body of the hat, instead of slip stitching like we were doing for the top here, I'm going to start working into that stitch with a marker in it. Instead of slip stitching, we're going to do a single crochet in that very first stitch. That will add less bulk to the side, and when people see it, they won't know where you joined. It just looks better. It's easier to keep track of your rounds doing it this way on the top of the hat, unless you're used to going in to the stitch all the way around. You can do that, but I just think for the sides it's easier to work into that stitch instead of joining. So now all we do is a single crochet in each stitch, just like we normally would. Nothing different at all. We're just doing single crochets every round, every stitch, until you get to the length of the body of the hat that you want. I am going to decide how long I want mine. I will let you know how far I'm going to go, and then I'll be right back to you once I have decided. So I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, so from the beginning of our bucket hat to where I am right now, I have 7 inches. I'm going to start doing my increase. If you want a longer hat, you can keep going. Just keep going round after round doing your single crochet. I think this is a good spot for me to stop because the brim is going to add to the hat in the manner that it could get in front of your eyes unless you're going to flip it up. It does make a bucket, so hooray. This is what the bottom looks like. Remember, we went down the sides. We have this defined division. It's a defined division between the bottom or the top of the hat and the sides, so that makes it an official bucket hat. So I am going to start the increasing. I just want to point out how beautiful this yarn is with all of its speckles and colors. It is super divine in this simple single crochet stitch. I love it. I love it. Also, this yarn is incredibly easy and soft to work with, so I can't wait to wear my hat. I'm to the stitch marker, and so I am going to start my stitches increasing right away. So I'm going to do 2 in my first stitch here, just so like you're maybe not on the same amount of stitches I have. I have 80 because I quit on the round that I had 80 stitches. So I have 80 stitches. You just need to divide whatever amount of stitches you have by multiples of like even multiples, 2, 4, 8, any multiple that will go into your stitch count that you have right now. I have 80. I don't want to increase every 2 stitches. I feel like that's too much. I'm going to do every 4. So I'm going to go ahead and start with an increase. I'm going to do 2 in this first stitch. Put my marker back there so I know. And then I'm going to single crochet in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to do an increase. I'm going to put 2 single crochets in the same. I'm going to do that all the way around. I will meet back up with you for the next round, and we'll talk about what to do next. Also want to note, I did switch to an H hook. My tension was just too loose while I was working the side of the hat with the I hook. I tried to use the tension ring. It didn't work so well with my yarn, and the way everything was working, it wasn't working. So I did switch to an H hook because I crochet much too loose. You may not have to switch, but with this yarn, I will note that it does have a lot of drape if you are not using a tight enough hook or a small enough hook for the hat. So if you're running into an issue to where your hat is just still too loose and it doesn't have any structure at all and you don't like that, go ahead and go down another hook size and that should fix the problem. I'm going to keep working with my H hook. I will meet right back up with you in a minute. Okay, so I finished that round. I have 106 stitches now that I have done the increase. Now I'm going to do every 2 stitches so that it increases at a more rapid rate, because I do want it to flare out at the brim. So I'm going to do every 2 stitches. I'm going to start with an increase. So I'm going to do 2 single crochet in the first, and then single crochet, and then 2 single crochet. And that's what I'm going to do all the way around. And I'll meet back up with you at the end of this round. Okay, so it's looking really good. Last round that I did, I have 128 stitches. I don't want to just keep flaring it out, so I'm going to tamp down the increases a bit. Since I have 128, I think I will reduce my increases to 8. So I'm going to start with 2 single crochet in the first stitch, and then I'm going to do 8 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then 2 single crochets in the next, and I'm going to do that all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you in just a moment. Okay, so this is what we are looking like after that round. 142 stitches. There's a lot of ruffling, so I'm going to do a round of just putting 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. I am getting very close to the end of my yarn. I can show it to you. There's not a lot there. I know I can get a couple, probably 3 more rounds out of it, but I don't want to keep increasing and ruffling. I don't want it to be a super ruffly bucket hat. I just want it to be a basic bucket hat without any, you know, bells, whistles, or frills. So I'm just gonna do 1 single crochet each stitch all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you in just a moment. At the end of the next round, I will still have 142 stitches. Okay, so I finished that round. That was a round of just single crochet in each stitch all the way around. You can see it has tamed down the ruffling, which is awesome. So this is where I'm at with my yarn. I think I could get maybe 1 or 2 more rounds on the hat. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just doing single crochet in every stitch all the way around. It will tame down the ruffles even more, which is great. If you don't want to tame ruffles, you can keep increasing. You can do whatever you want for your hat. I would just do it evenly. So whatever your stitch count is, divide it evenly and then go from there, because you want it to be even all the way around and not lopsided. So I'm just going to do probably 1 to 2 more rounds. I will join back up with you when I am almost out of yarn. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so this is amazing because I have done 3 rounds just doing the single crochet in each stitch. I still have yarn left. It never ends. So a couple of options. I think it would be just fine to do another round of just single crochets, and it will look just like this, except, you know, just a smidge longer. But I thought I would try something that I think will look really good on this hat. If you've ever done reverse single crochet or crab stitch, I think it will look really nice on this hat and give it a nice finishing touch. So I'm going to do that for my final round. If you don't want to do this, that's fine. If it's new to you and you're uncomfortable with it, don't do it. But it will eat up a little more yarn, I think, than the normal single crochet stitch. So this, in essence, is going backwards with your single crochet. That's why we call it reverse. It's also called the crab stitch. So I am going to zoom in my camera a bit so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So with the stitch, we take our hook and we go into this stitch behind it, okay? I know it sounds weird, and I put my finger here as to not lose my loop. I put it in the stitch, we pull up the yarn, and we finish a single crochet just like we normally would. And once you get the hang of it, you'll get a little quicker, but in essence, you're just going backwards with a single crochet stitch. Go in the stitch right behind, pull up a loop, go through both. Very easy, but it gives a slight braiding effect along the edge. You can see that. And once the hat is all done, it will kind of look like a finished off brim, and I think it will be a great finish for this hat. If I have any yarn left when I am done with this, I might make a couple of strings to go inside the hat in case it's windy, to tie it around my chin. But we shall see when I am done. I'm just going to keep doing the reverse single crochet or crab stitch all the way around my hat, and I'll meet right back up with you when I am done. Okay, so this is where I'm at. I think the edging looks great on the hat. I have just a tiny bit of yarn left, so I can make some ties if I want to. I'll show you what I have left. Just a very small amount. So I'm going to cut the yarn, and I am going to pull my yarn through, and then I'm going to attach it to the beginning. I will probably have to try the hat on so that I know where I would want my ties, but essentially it is to pull the hat closer to my head if it's windy. It's typically windy here all the time. It's pretty breezy. I would say 85% of the time it's windy here. So I don't want my hat to fly off. Say if I'm doing the lawn or something, I don't want my hat to fly off. If I'm sitting outside enjoying the weather and it gets windy, I don't want to have to chase my hat around the yard. So I am going to put the hat on and then figure out where it would seem most likely that I would want ties put in, and then just go ahead and chain. I'm probably going to chain enough to go around the bottom of my chin and be able to maybe tie it, because I think that would be the best way. So I'm just weaving in my ends here. I only have two. I did not find one knot in this yarn, not one. Nary a one. It was perfect. which is pretty nice because lately I've been getting a lot of yarn balls with knots, and I'm not loving that. But this one was perfect. There were no breaks in the yarn. You can see that there are no breaks except my very beginning. No breaks, no ties, no knots, no nothing. It was perfect. So kudos on that. Give you a little looky-loo at it. It has increased quite nicely, I think, and I'm going to put this on my mannequin head so you can see it. But this is what it looks like laid out. And that's a decent bucket hat right there. And look at those colors. They're so gorgeous. I love the coloring of this yarn. The color on this one was Festival. So if you're going to go to the website and take a look, I will link below my affiliate link for them. This is the color Festival for Cotton Supreme Sprinkles. Just as a reminder, if you fast forwarded to the end to see what it looked like. Colorway Festival 1002. Gorgeous yarn to work with. Zero problems with this yarn. So I'm going to pull the hat up and I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do for ties. So I am pinching right about where my ears were in the hat, so I can mark them right around the spot. I just got done sneezing, I'm sorry. I'm marking them so that I can put the strings where I want them, and that is, we're looking at the back of the hat where your ears would fall, right around like where your sideburns would be. That's where I'm going to put these ties. So I'm just going to do a slip knot and just chain. I mean, you could do something fancier if you would like, but we could chain and go back on the chain and it would make it thicker. No, I think I might want to make it just a little bit longer, because I'm thinking about my chin. Let's see. Put it up here. I think a little longer, maybe a couple more inches, so maybe I could do a bow. What I got there? We got about 10 or so inches. Go a little more. Why not? What the heck? Okay, and then I am going to, I'll make it a little thicker by slip stitching into each one that I just went in. So second chain from the hook, gonna slip stitch all the way back. Now this is totally optional. You don't have to do any of this, but I like ties on my bucket hats and hats in general because, like I said, it's windy around here and I don't want to lose it. So I'm going to keep slip stitching. I'm going to chain another one, same length, and then I'll show you how I'm going to attach it. It's just super simple. Attach it and then weave in the end. So I'll be right back to you. Done with the first one, back up to where I started, and I'm just going to cut a length of yarn here. I'm going to pull through. I'm going to make a tie here so the yarn doesn't go anywhere. And I'm going to create another one exactly like it. Be right back. Okay, so I have them done. One's a tiny bit shorter. Doesn't matter, it's fine. I am going to weave them in. I'm going to tie a knot and then I'm going to weave in the yarn on the hat as to attach it. So I'm just going to take one of them. I'm going to do the side with the needle because I need it anyway. Remember, right here in the turquoise below the orange. Now I like to tie a knot as to secure it and then weave it in. So not only is it woven in, but it's also tied. This is the inside of the hat, so you don't have to be super careful, but I do like to run it along stitches. I do go back and forth with the stitches, with the yarn, so it has a hard time coming out. And my stitches are pretty tight. Like I said, I had bumped down to an H hook because my tension was too loose. So I have some pretty tight stitches. I also am using a pretty thick yarn needle right now, so. That's one. I'm gonna do the other one on the other side. Don't want too much bulk in one area of the hat weaving in the ends. And there it is. Super cute bucket hat. Really, really like this. I really, really like this. I'll have to look decent for a photo sometime and take a picture because I love this hat and I actually like the way it looks on me. I'm going to turn my mannequin a bit so you can take a peek at the back. Love those speckles. This is such a beautiful yarn, such a beautiful creation. One hank of this made this gorgeous hat. Super cute. Would make a cute gift for somebody. You could get a couple more and make a tote bag, like a beach duo. Super cute, super duper cute. This is what I had left. Not much at all. So yeah, and it ties right under the chin, so. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I certainly did. I thank Universal Yarn for making me an affiliate. I really love their yarns. So go take a look. I'll leave my affiliate link below, and I will be bringing you more tutorials with their yarn. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Until next time, guys. Bye.